In this exciting episode, it's Paul who has all the good one-liners, and it's Barbara Hale's hubby, Bill Williams, in the defendant's chair. Bill has a bum leg, so he's gonna want to stay seated as much as possible. And no on-screen romance with Della. Maybe next time? It's Perry Mason, Season 5, Episode 22, The Case of the Crippled Cougar. Welcome to the Perry Pod. I'm your humble host, Jonathan Searcy. My purpose, pretty simple. Provide an audio companion to every episode of television's greatest legal drama, Perry Mason. Each episode, we give you a summary of the plot. We even compare plots with the Earl Stanley Gardner novel if the episode was an adaptation. We give you a little trivia, reveal the episode's theme, and revel in a Perry proverb, that's a pearl of wisdom from the man himself, before heading to the water cooler where, just like Perry, Della, and Paul, we can discuss the ins and outs of our fave legal cruise adventures. But first, say it with me, to the Law Library! Each time we visit the law library, we investigate a legal conundrum from the episode in order to find precedents for future Perry cases. This case features a brawling defendant, Oilman Mike Preston, played by Bill Williams, who carries a grudge against Hugh Jameson. When Jameson takes the stand, Preston can't help but express his displeasure.
You went out to my well. You killed Phipps. You killed him because you didn't want to share with him.
Mike.
Mr. Preston, this court will not tolerate that sort of behavior.
The judge admonishes Preston. Nothing new there. But Hamilton Berger isn't satisfied. He wants more. He actually wants the outburst to count as evidence against Preston.
Your Honor, I insist that the records show the defendant made a shocking outburst against this witness. I submit that this is prima facie evidence of the violent character of the defendant.
Our law library question, then, is this. Would an in-court outburst be fair game for the court record? Is Berger's request pro forma? The short answer, probably not. Preston could and should have been found in contempt of court by the judge. That comes with a monetary penalty plus additional jail time. But as evidence to show motive? Nah, Ham. If the case is that clear against the defendant, you won't need the court outburst in the record. And by the way, Hamilton knows his way around a courtroom outburst.
If the court would just understand the significance of what I'm trying to get at, and the clever way in which the defense counsel has been trying to block me, the court would then realize that I have to fight it out on this line if it takes all day.
Now, let's get to the full plot of this episode. The Case of the Crippled Cougar. Nothing like a good old day of bonding between father-in-law and feckless son-in-law out with the shotgun firing at mountain lions. At least that's the way it looks for tool and supply company magnate Hugh Jameson and dopey banker married to his daughter, one Arnold Keith. They shoot the mountain lion in the leg and then call it a day. Oilman Mike Preston's not having it.
Mike, what's all the fuss? It's only an animal. He's gone. If I did hit him, it was only in the leg. Let the poor thing live.
Live? Dragging a leg for the rest of its life, and you call letting it live? Keith, you joined the right clan when you married Hugh Jameson's daughter. You and he are the same brand. Selfish and yellow. Both of you!
And thus we peer into the inner workings of his character. You see, Mike has a limp too. He is the crippled cougar. We suspect Hugh Jameson had something to do with it. Back at the Preston Ranch, we discover a classic unrequited love triangle. Administrative assistant Lydia Reynolds loves curmudgeonly Preston. Accountant Elliot Dunbar loves Lydia. And Mike, he loves revenge.
I hired you to manage this house and take a few notes for me. When I want something to lean on, I'll buy crutches.
Mike's right-hand man, Harlow Phipps, calls him with big news. It sounds like a scheme's afoot.
It's down there, Mike. Just waiting for us. I was never more sure of oil in my whole life.
Does any of the crew suspect?
Not a chance. I've kept it too close.
You know your next move?
Know it? Mike, this is what we've both been sweating out for 7 years. How could I forget it?
Okay, get rid of the crew. You and I'll cap them. We'll plug it tight.
We know something's up when Mike gets home and zags in his tale about what happened with Phipps to Lydia and Dunbar. Fired Harlow? Plugging up the well? Get Perry Mason on the line? Do what now? Mike comes to Perry's office with a gift in tow.
When you were out at the ranch, you wouldn't believe me when I told you how big the gophers got. So I brought one back to prove it.
Gopher indeed. It's a mountain lion, a cougar. Beautiful. Is it for me?
You have a place to put it.
Don't you worry. I'll find one.
Perry fans know that Mike Preston is being played by Bill Williams, the real-life husband of Barbara Hale. Here you go, honey, a mountain lion carcass. Mike wants to sell the land for the supposedly dud oil fields, and for cheap, too. Perry knows that doesn't sound like his client. Backstory.
But I did think that maybe in 7 years you might have forgotten.
Oh, sure. Forget 5 tons of traveling block that knocks out half of my knee. It was Jameson's rig. The cable was rotten. I told him so.
I suppose you still think that he set that fire at the well. Look, Mike, you really believe he set that fire to cripple you and to steal that money?
Harry, there was $100,000 in that shack that night. I saw it. $50,000 in securities and $50,000 in cash. What happened to it?
So yeah, Mike's gonna sell the land for, wait a minute, how much? You can't get anything past Perry.
And in 7 years, not $1 worth of that $50,000 in securities. $50,000. And you want to sell 1,000 acres at $50 an acre.
Meanwhile, Jameson and Keith get together. It seems Harlow Phipps is looking for cash. Arnie Keith thinks something's up, and Jameson's financially too tied up, so that's not great. And you can see the disdain father-in-law Jameson has for son-in-law Keith with this quip.
Oh, he's not the kind who'd put up a front without having something pretty solid behind him. I just thought you might have some idea of what it was.
You thought. If you did, it's the first time. Maybe there's some hope for you.
Keith recommends trying to get info out of Harlow Phipps' girl, bank employee Paula Hamilton. Phipps is using his lips for kissing rather than blabbing about his plan, however. But Phipps tells Hamilton his plan involves moolah.
If Paula will just keep her little shirt on, she'll be able to start her own bank and spend it all on Paula.
Then we find out that Arnie Keith, devoted son-in-law, is also macking it with Paula. But Paula doesn't have the goods. All she knows is that Harlow digs her.
The way he acts, you'd think he was afraid someone might move in on it.
Even you?
Don't be silly. I'm the kind that gets invited.
Fair enough, Paula. Meanwhile, Harlow Phipps is knocking him back and making huge claims until Hugh Jameson shows up and Phipps goes in on him.
Jameson, I'm going to say it right to your face. You're a midget. You think you're a big man in the oil business? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Phipps hands Jameson a line about bilking Mike. Jameson's ears perk up. Phipps needs cash, but he can prove the oil well is real, which we know too. But we also know that Phipps and Mike were scheming. What goes on? Next thing you know, Phipps is calling Mike from the well, and it doesn't sound great.
But please, Mike, I don't have the time. Now, will you get out here and fast? This whole thing is blowing up in our faces.
Phipps, if you're trying to pull something on me, so help me, I'll kill you. Phipps, don't hang up on me.
Future Perry characters. At this point in season 5, we've learned that you should never say out loud, "I'll kill you," unless you want to spend some time in prison and court after having been falsely accused of said person's murder. It's a funny thing, but the real murderers never say out loud, "I want to kill you." Did you say you wanted to kill someone in a Perry show? It's a dead certainty you did not kill that person. Anywho, there's another phone call from the airline for Phipps' trip to Hawaii. Ooh, taking Paula out. Meanwhile, guess what happens when someone comes a knocking at the oil field shack? They find Phipps with a gusher from a bullet wound. Who's the cop on this case?
Landro. Sergeant Ben Landro.
Who's that?
Don't push me, Landro.
Okay, good. We got it. Mike's story doesn't make much sense and his little gun is gone. Now he's behind bars. Perry's got some questions. There's only one thing for certain.
Phipps is dead.
Perry starts talking to the other involved parties. First, there's Jameson and Arnie Keith. Neither man comes fully clean. Perry leaves Paula Hamilton to our man about town, Paul Drake. Gotta say, Paul has some good one-liners in this episode. Let's string them all together, shall we?
Aside from your tendency to avoid telling the truth, I'll be anxious to find out just what kind of a girl you are. Looks like two bulls hit this china shop. Well, seems to me, though, that if we can find the gun, we'll find the killer.
You were right.
It's one of his few bad habits, always being right.
So the circumstantial evidence is against Mike. The watchman saw him fleeing the murder scene. Lydia certainly heard him say out loud he wanted to kill Phipps, and even Paula testified that Phipps badmouthed Mike. Mike thought his plan was foolproof, but it wasn't. Foolproof? But there's a missing murder weapon, a .25 automatic. That kind of small weapon is the kind Mike keeps in his glove compartment. It's also the kind Phipps was planning on giving the attractive and vulnerable Paula. All this leads to Lydia getting a hold of Mike's gun and firing some bullets into a pillow. And why?
I love Mike Preston.
Perry sends the bullets on to Berger. The good news, the bullets Lydia fired do not match the bullet that ended Phipps's life. The bad news, the gun Perry gave Berger does match the murder bullet. Before we get to the payoff, let's listen to this amazing exchange between Berger and Perry in the court over the missing weapon. Berger casts aspersions. Perry responds in kind. I believe this is what, in the Earl Stanley Gardner novels, judges call personalities.
Your Honor, since defense counsel, in cross-examining many of these witnesses, seems to be engaging in some sort of a treasure hunt for a seemingly missing murder weapon, I thought perhaps he would like it if I clarified this particular question for him once and for all.
When the defense delivered to Mr. Berger a gun belonging to Mike Preston, we did indeed anticipate a treasure hunt. A hunt for a defendant other than Mike Preston. However, at this point, it would be a pleasure to have Mr. Berger resolve anything. And in particular, the question of the not seemingly missing, but actually missing murder weapon.
Amazing. Anywho, Perry cracks the case by doing the following. 1, he traps Dunbar on the stand. That clown was writing literal checks he couldn't cash and swapping barrels on .25 automatics. And why?
It was a chance to get even with Mike Preston.
And second, Perry nabs Arnie Keith without putting him on the witness stand. Keith can't even confess well.
I grabbed the gun and I didn't mean to kill him. I didn't.
Turns out it was Arnie Keith the whole time, not Hugh Jameson, who stole the money and did Preston dirty. What do you think of that, Mike?
I guess I really suspected my son-in-law for several years, but doing anything about it would have hurt my daughter, so I guess it hasn't been easy for either one of us, Mike.
And what about poor Lydia?
I once said if I wanted something to lean on, I'd buy crutches. It wasn't exactly what I meant to say.
I know, Mike.
Perry and Della look on with smiles. Notably, Lydia and Mike don't kiss. Della had that one in the contract. Now, let's get trivial, shall we? Each episode in our trivia section, I give you 3 takeaways. A Paul is a subject worth investigating more. A Della is a deep dive on an actor or actress who guest starred in the episode. And finally, a Perry is something we learn about our intrepid hero. Our Paul for this episode includes the fictitious Derrick City and real estate. Number 1, there's no city in LA County called Derrick City.
Derrick City's a small town.
Half of Derrick City was in on the deal.
They were toll calls from Derrick City to Los Angeles.
So our first Paul prompt is this. What city is Derrick City likely a takeoff on? And number 2, there's a very interesting detail about Hugh Jameson's daughter's house. When Jameson goes to get $50K for the oil deal, he puts up his daughter's house as security. He'd given that house to his daughter free and clear when she married Arnie the Thief Keith. Well, how much is that house worth now, Mrs. Keith?
It's been appraised at over $100,000.
Wowza. So the next prompt is, what do you expect that kind of house in a place like the real Derrick City would include? That's over $1 million property value in the year of our Lord 2025. Tell us what you find, Pauls. Our Della for this episode concerns John Bryant, old Arnie the Thief Keith himself.
I must be slipping. Maybe you'd rather be out with Harlow Phipps.
Here's 10 about Johnny. Number 1, born Charles Britton Yance Jr. on August 10th, 1916 in Dixon, Illinois. That's halfway between Chicago and Cedar Rapids. Number 2, his parents, C.B. Yance Sr., a power company manager, and Mary E. Monahan. 3, attended Washington High School in Milwaukee, later studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Number 4, enlisted in the U.S. Army, 1941, served as captain in the Signal Corps during World War II. Number 5, began acting in earnest during his military service, performing in the famous GI version of Hamlet in the Central Pacific Theater, which led to a Broadway revival after the war. Number 6, adopted the stage name John Bryant after his military service, never publicly used his birth name again. Number 7, started working in regional theater, summer stock, uncredited film roles before breaking into television and credited film work in the early 50s. Guess which theater our boy cut his teeth in? The Pasadena Playhouse! Number 8, became a prolific television actor, best known for his 5-year recurring role as Dr. Carl Spaulding on The Virginian, and for 6 appearances in Perry Mason. He last appeared in a pilot in 1969 and 1 episode of Highway to Heaven in 1988. Number 9, married Jeanette Reed Remick from 1941 to 1946. Had 1 daughter with her. Number 10, died from cancer July 13th, 1989 in L.A. at the age of 72. Our Perry for this episode concerns our boy's ability to dupe-a-dope. Arnold Keith is playing coy about bank biz. Here goes Perry.
I gather Mr. Jameson wasn't as concerned about security.
No, he was... You're very clever, Mr. Mason.
You're married to Mr. Jameson's daughter, aren't you? I assumed you were less secretive about bank business with him than you are being now with me.
Man, if Arnie Keith says you're clever, you're really doing good work. Way to go, Perry! Our theme for this episode concerns being crippled. Dunbar, the unrequited accountant, gives us this explanation.
You've known for 3 years how I feel about you.
Is that supposed to make a difference?
Lydia, he's a cripple in more ways than one.
Well, Mike's the only one with a physical limp, but look at all these crippled characters. 1, Phipps is going with a girl who's 2-timing him. 2, Lydia is pining away for a guy who seems like a total jerk. Number 3, Jameson's got a crippled bank account and a schnook for a son-in-law. Number 4, Paula's got a crippled conscience, stepping out with Arnie behind Phipps's back for shame. And number 5, that goes for Dunbar, the fuzzy accountant, and Keith the thief too. Hampered all by some ailment or other. Everybody needs somebody to lean on. Here's to Mike and Lydia. May they find support in each other. Now, it's time for a Perry proverb. Sometimes you gotta do the work that no one else will do. Perry knows these are his clients, and when Big Bad Mike Preston hints about going elsewhere for his legal services, Perry lays it on the line.
Will you prepare those lease transfers, or do I have to walk out of here and hire myself a real lawyer?
Any other lawyer would throw you right out of his office.
Not only is Perry the only one who could get his defendants off, this proverb reveals he's probably the only one who would defend them in the first place. Keep them honest, Perry! Now let's grab a swig from the water cooler.
You know, there is one thing I don't understand. Go on, Paul.
Each episode, the water cooler, we give you deleted scenes, bits from the episode that didn't make the final cut. These 2 deleted scenes come from the pod's unofficial legal counsel, Tom Wiltshire. Number 1, when Paul asks Paula if she has some means of protecting herself, she judo flips him onto his back and starts swinging a samurai sword in a swooshing blur before Paul can blink an eye. Then we get her line,
Honestly, you men are all alike. Just because a girl is pretty and alone, you think she needs a gun.
Number 2, in Della's apartment, we see Paul and Della struggling to find a spot for the skinned cougar. Frustrated and creeped out, Della shoves it back in the box and tells Paul to get rid of it. In the next scene, Paul is back at Paula's and offering her the pelt. She picks it out of the box by the cat's ears and says, I love it, Paul. I guess you found out what kind of girl I am, one that loves animals, and gets invited to taxidermist parties. Wah, 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 wah. Thanks, Tom. It's been a while since our last episode, The Case of the Mystified Miner, so let's remind you about our Paul prompt. We asked about mining scandals. Dad Drake was on the case. He found a uranium mining and worker health hazards scandal in the 1940s and 50s, where during the uranium boom of the 40s and 50s, mining companies exposed workers to radon gas without sufficient notice. He found the Empire Zinc Company strike from 1950 to 1952, where Mexican-American miners went on strike over dual wage systems and poor living conditions. He found the Texas Gulf sulfur insider trading scandal from 1964, where executives exploited confidential information to profit from stock trades before disclosing unfavorable findings. It became a landmark in securities regulation, and finally he found the windfall mining scandal from the 1960s, where rumors of valuable discoveries related to Texas Gulf sulfur mines caused Windfall's stock to surge. When it was revealed their stake had no value, the stock crashed, but not before the owner made $1.5 million. The Toronto Stock Exchange and Ontario Securities Commission required more transparency for mining companies following the scandal. Boom! Thanks, Daddy-O. Now for some listener letters. It's been a while. First time emailer Hutch writes in, quote, I'm reliving my childhood memories of watching Perry Mason with my mom approximately 60 years ago. Prime Video has all the Perry Mason episodes, and your podcast is the perfect follow-up. I'm through seasons 1 and 2 at this point on Prime, and your podcast as well. Just wanted to give you an attaboy, well done, and keep up the good work, close quote. Seasons 1 and 2, Hutch, are the best of the best. Talking about them is easy. Thanks for listening. Then Blazer writes in, quote, first off, thank you for what you do. I'm very impressed with your professionalism, dedication, thoroughness, efficiency, and humor within the Perry Pod. Your show enriches the experience of watching the series from the beginning for the first time at the age of 54. I'm so happy that I took the time to search for a series companion on the Pocket Cast app. Mission Log was my gateway companion show for Star Trek, which is why I subscribed to Paramount Plus, which is how I found Perry Mason, which is how I found you. Again, I adore the Perry Pod. I'm only on season 2, episode 20 as of writing this message, but I try to consume 1 to 2 episodes a day, and I'm delighted to see you're still producing new episodes. So much to look forward to. Have you ever considered having your aunt and dad on for a discussion show? Close quote. I have. Great idea, Blazer. Let's make it happen. Dad Drake, Aunt My P.I. Then Blazer and I had a subsequent exchange where he wrote, quote, Mom has also been listening. She likes your newer episodes without watching. She's seen them all, so it ignites her fond memories. I told her I was going to write to you again. She asked me to thank you for your contributions to the obsession we enjoy so much. Close quote. Thank you for listening, Blazer and Blazer's mom. And finally, we heard from Dr. Dan Eller, a retired communications professor, who wrote, quote, I find Perry Mason's team to be a critical part of his investigation, counsel, and legal support for clients. Although Della Street served as legal secretary and confidant for Perry, it seems to me he was somewhat hard on her at times as an employee. Growing up during these days, I realized the practice of law was traditionally male-dominated, but it seems to me that at times there is inappropriate behavior that seems to disempower the responsibilities embodied in the duties carried out by Della. Close quote. Thanks for writing in, Dr. Eller. In the novels, I noted, Perry and Della were romantically connected, though they never married. At Della's insistence, Perry often proposed. Part of the show's odd dynamic with Perry and Della is that there's never really a romantic angle. You get the idea that Della does what she does out of platonic. Dr. Eller also sent along a fascinating article about the uses of legal TV shows in real-life courts. Of course, Perry Mason was included. I'll have to summarize the pertinent parts of that article at some point for the pod, and there's probably a podcast or two to be done on the around-the-show stuff, like the Earl Stanley Gardner biography that's called Earl Stanley Gardner, the case of the real Perry Mason, for instance. Thanks for sending that article along. As always, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a comment on the episode or the pod in general? Why don't you drop me a line at theperrypod@gmail.com. Next time on the Perry Pod, we're watching beatniks who are watching squares and art's involved. It's the case of the absent artist. Join us, won't you? Until then, this is Jonathan Searcy saying, keep on walking that Park Avenue beat!